All right, so as you can see, we have our images that we have successfully pulled from our cat API. And I thought something that we could do is to create this app in such a way that shows a bunch of buttons with the names of each individual cat breed, and when you click on that button, the image will appear. If you click on the button again, then the image will go away. I think that would be a little bit better, so let's go ahead and do that. So the first thing that we're going to want to do is let's take, instead of these images, let's take this out temporarily. Just Control X that. And I'm going to put this down here because we're going to use this for later. I'll comment that out. And instead of the image, we're going to just have a button show up first. So let's just create a quick button. Okay, so there are the buttons that we want. And so instead of test, let's actually say, let's access the cat property and utilize, or the cat object and utilize the name property. So cat.name. And we have here all of the names for each individual cat breed. And now what we can do is, so our goal is, let's think about this. Whenever they click on the button, we want the image to appear, which means that we will need an on-click event handler. So let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to say on-click, and I'm going to say equals curly brackets, anonymous function. And this is going to, we haven't made the function yet, but we're going to be calling it handle click. And we're going to be passing in a cat object. So let's just make the function quickly so we can get the error out of the way. It's going to be taking in a cat object. We know that. Error function. Okay. Let's make this look a little bit better as well. Oops. Sorry about that. Okay. Oh, whoops, I'm getting an error here. Let's see. Oh, I forgot to do my error function. My mistake. There we go. And then, so what's happening is basically when they click on a button, we are triggering a function call called handle click, and we're going to be passing in the cat object into our function. All right, so that's sort of the foundation for it, but there's also one more thing I forgot to add. That is, we're going to need a new state variable. We're going to be calling it selected cat. Now this is for when they select a button specific to a cat breed, that cat breed that they have chosen gets set to our state variable. So let's make that selected cat, set selected cat. State, and the initial value for this is going to be null, excuse me, because the initial value is them not selecting anything at all. When they load on the page, they haven't clicked on anything yet, so that's why it's null. Okay, and so now we want to fill out this function, right? So let's think about this. So when they click on the button, we want the image to appear. When they click on it again, we want it to disappear. So the first condition that we should do here, we should have an if statement. If inside the condition, it will be first checking to see if selected cat exists. If it does exist, then what we want to do is use the AND operator to then say, all right, if selected cat exists, we want to access its selected cat property, we want to access the selected cat object and then use its ID property to see if it's equal to the ID property of the cat object that's passed into our function. If it is, then we want to set selected cat to null again, and I'll explain what this is. So this specific condition is for when they click on the image again, and the image will disappear as a result. And I'll come back to this and I'll explain more, but first let me fill out the rest of this if statement. So if, we'll say else, and then the next part will simply be set selected cat to cat. Okay, so what this means is that let's say they click on the image of a cat. What ends up happening is this function triggers. We send over that specific cat that they clicked on as a argument to our function. The first condition is checking to see, okay, does selected cat exists, right? If it does, you want to go and check its ID property and see if it's equal to cat, the ID of the cat object that was passed in. When will this happen? If they click on the same image twice, right? Because what's happening here is that we're setting the cat object that they clicked on to our selected cat state variable. So that means that that's always going to be equal to our ID property of the cat object that's passed in, because we're setting that very same cat object to the selected cat state variable. And if it's their first time clicking on the image and the cat appears, well, then this condition will be false because the selected cat value is actually null initially, because it's the first time that they've clicked on that button. So they immediately get sent to this else statement that sets what was the initial value of selected cat to now the value of the breed that they have chosen. So I know it's a little bit complicated, but if you just go over it a little bit yourself, it'll start to make sense. So that is the underlying logic. So now we want the images to actually appear. So we can accomplish that by going back into our return statement and creating another condition. So we can put this condition below the button. We're going to use JSX here, and we're going to say, similar to what we had in our handle click function, this is going to be a Boolean statement, selected cat. We want to see if this exists. If it does exist, we're going to be using the AND operator, which basically is saying it can mean two things. The AND operator can mean AND or AND then. In this case, it's going to mean AND, but it's going to say if selected cat exists and the selected cat ID is equal to cat.id. So similar again to what we had up there. And then we're going to be using this operator again, and this time it's saying and then we want to render the image. So let me do that. Let me copy this in. And I have an error there, but I will take care of that. 1 second. Okay, so let's see here. Unexpected token. Sorry about that. The problem is that I forgot to wrap the button and the image around a div tag. If you're using the map function to render multiple elements, then you need to wrap those multiple elements inside of a div tag. If it's just one element like we had before, like the button, you don't need to do it, but in this case we do, because we're rendering the button and the image associated with that button. So let me do that real quick. Sorry about that. It's the first div tag, and then the second div tag goes around both elements. So there we go. This should do it. There we go. Let me space this out a little bit better. There we go. Okay. So now what should happen is when they click on the image should appear associated with that button. And if I click on that button again, it should disappear, and sure enough, that works. So there we go. That is part 2 of my little cat app that I'm making here. I don't know if I'll finish the entire app, but I'll just keep making more videos to show you how to like make individual components, but we'll see where it goes. But for now, that's it. I hope you enjoyed, and yep, I'll see you later. Thanks for watching.